Continuing on with our theme of practicing our writer's toolkit skills in order to prepare for essay writing, we'll have a quick look right now at a review of some of the APA strategies that we've learned so far. So we're going to go through integral, non-integral, indirect citations, and also various citations that may have two authors. So let us do that now. So we're going to start off with integral citations. Now, just a reminder of what is needed for integral citations. First, you need the author's last name, and that will usually come very first in the very first location or position in the sentence, starting as the subject. So the second piece of information you need is going to be the date of publication. And now a reminder, this will come inside, it'll be couched inside of the curved brackets. And that acts as our essentially first road sign to show where the beginning of the paraphrase starts. So everything coming after the couched brackets, those rounded brackets, will be paraphrase. Now we have a signal verb, and it's key to mention that we want our signal verbs to be in the past tense. As we've talked about before, there's a reason behind that. When you place your signal verb into the past tense, and then the verb coming after your paraphrase is done in the next sentence gets switched into the present tense, what you're doing there is you're showing your reader the borrowed information versus your analysis of that borrowed information. Signal verb shows the citation or the borrowed information, the paraphrase, and then that present tense verb shows, hey, now I'm analyzing that borrowed information that I just included as support. So the next piece is going to be the paraphrased. Why is it doing that? Stop that. Thank you. The paraphrased chunk of language. So you'll have to go back to your source. Maybe you're looking at this. This is the round 2 resource about how when we cut down or clear cut sections of mountains or forest, that they become dead zones and they actually release more greenhouse gases or more CO2 than was expected. And in fact, it's a very negative aspect of clear cut logging. So let's say that we wanted to borrow a fact or use some information here. So let's find a piece of, according to where we at here. It's kind of a short article. Okay, good. So we're just kind of scoping through here. And maybe I'll just grab this piece of information. Now, when we do a paraphrase, it's not really the absolute best idea to copy and paste because you're really putting yourself at risk of being nailed for plagiarism by your instructor. And I don't usually do that, but what I'm doing is just for the demonstration purposes, I'm going to put that language there so you can watch how I do my paraphrase. And then finally, the last piece of information we need for integral citation is going to be the page marker. And again, the page marker will be inside of brackets. And it actually looks like this. It's P dot and then the page number, then you close the brackets and then put a period. So let's build one. Okay, so we're going up to size 14. So we'll go back and check that article. The Dead Zones article was written by Henning. It was written in 2019, so we need both of those pieces of information. So we'll start out. Henning, 2019. Stated, this is one of those classic signal verbs. So we've got position 1, position 2 in the brackets, position 3 in the past tense. Now comes the all-important paraphrase. And I should mention the two key elements of a paraphrase are, number one, use different words. So if you're not sure how to do that, you can look for synonyms using thesaurus.com. Number two, you should change the actual formula of the sentence. Change the sentence structure. So this one here is saying that, it's giving us some very specific data about millions of carbon emissions released. It's talking about a period of time. But essentially what it's boiling down to is that replanting a section of a clear-cut block doesn't mean that you have turned that into a carbon bank. There's going to be a carbon loss from that environment for at least 13 years, which is huge. And we already know that small trees don't grab as much carbon from the atmosphere as those super huge trees that we call old growth forests. So now that we've kind of talked through it, we can write it. So you'll notice that what I've written here is significantly different than the section I've paraphrased it from. Notice also that I used our academic sentence structure. So we've got the semicolon, we've got the whom Tatania family member, and then we've got the comma. Remember, to make that academic link work, you need all three pieces of that linking tool. You need all three to be good with me. Okay, so now we go back to the article. And we're just going to double check where we got that from. Okay, it was on page 2. Good. So then we're going to go here like this. And we are done. So there's an example of an integral citation. So if we go down to the next step, we're going to look at non-integral. And again, you're dealing with the same elements, those same pieces that are needed as mentioned here, but they're just going to be redistributed in a different order. So number one in this case is actually going to be your paraphrased idea. Number two, so actually I should be clear there. Number one will be your paraphrased idea, and in addition, so actually let's rephrase that. You'll need that signal verb in the past tense to come at the front of that sentence. And then there's going to be your paraphrase. Now the two of those kind of live together, but we have to give an order in some way, so this will make sense. Next, you're going to have all of your citation information inside of the brackets. So you'll have the author's last name. It's okay for us to capitalize that because authors are proper nouns, so their last names will be capitalized. Date, and this one we don't want capitalized, of publication. And then the page marker, which will look like this again. So if we were going to take, and I'm just going to do this for kind of speed and efficiency, if we were going to take this exactly this same piece of information, we need to repurpose everything. So suddenly we move Henning down here, we move 2019 down here, we've got P dot, and then in place of Henning, we could put the round 2 article, and I'm okay if you state it that way because this is what they were called on our website. So obviously if I've named it that, I'm going to accept that as a short term of explanation in your actual essay. So the round two article stated, and now here's where we need to put our little friend the that clause into play. The round two article stated that clear-cut logging is not only harmful because of the trees taken out of the ecosystem, additionally there will be a carbon release for at least another decade. So there you go, non-integral. So what you see is that these two are very similar to one another. It's just that it's about where you are placing the citation information. Are you placing the author in the subject position, as with integral, or are you placing it in the brackets at the end? Is the publication date going near the subjects section of the sentence, or is it living at the end? Okay, so we still do have indirect citations and citations with two authors, but I'm guessing that I'm running close to my 14-minute video cap, so I'm going to stop here and then just start another that will be part 2.